Hi, good morning. Pouring myself some hot water into my hot cup of tea. To my tea bag, which has the vanilla Earl Grey again this morning. I like that one. It works really good. Anyway, what are you having this morning? What's your favorite cup of tea? I wanted to have a continued discussion about some stuff that we talked about yesterday, and it plays into my 13 stories for 13 years of Green Hope Coaching being in existence, because honestly, I got into coaching because I needed a coach. I told you that yesterday, but one of the things that has come up often for me is that I tell a lot of my story. I share a lot of my story, much sometimes to the chagrin of my family. I'm trying really hard to tell my story, not theirs. Even when I wrote Lovely Traces, that was the big thing. This is my version, my perspective. But I share a lot. Part of the reason for that is because I'm an external processor, and so I hear what I'm thinking when I'm talking out loud. Yeah, I know. You can pray for Ren because he has to hear a lot of that a lot of times. I have to remember he's an internal processor, and I have to give him time to think it through and to process it, and then he speaks it. Me, I spit it all out there and it comes gobbledygook sometimes, but many times it's in the sharing of it that I go, oh, there it is. There's the story. There's the hope. There's God showing up in the middle of my story. So yesterday, I shared that I tend to compare myself to other people, and I have to capture those thoughts and own the message I know I'm made to give. Be you. Be who you are. And it's one that I've had to learn to embrace for myself, which is why it's so important, because so many times our greatest suffering, our greatest pain becomes our greatest ministry to our world. It becomes the message that we give. Out of our mess is oftentimes our message that we share. And yesterday, as I shared that, one of the girlfriends who's been in my life for a long time, who's been part of my practice for a long time, she's read the books, taken the courses, been part of the conversations on so many levels. She sent me a text and she goes, Kathy, stop comparing. You are you. I need you to be you. So I asked the question. Okay, I'm going to read from that Facebook post, from the video from yesterday. I shared a current story how yet again I had to capture a thought related to comparison in order to own my own unique design and message. Does me being honest about that with you help you trust me more, or cause you to doubt that she can't get it together, so I can't either? I'm honestly asking because I know I tend to overshare at times. I'm wondering whether it helps you know me better and trust I've been there, I get that, or does it cause you to question whether I know what I'm talking about enough to overcome this stuck thinking? I'm truly asking. So I'm asking today about you, because I've had so many times women come in and they say things like, well, if you really knew who I was, you wouldn't want to be in relationship with me. You wouldn't want to be my coach. If you knew the truth. And I'm thinking, you're probably right, because if you're not telling me the truth, what can we do about it? Nothing. If we're not telling the truth about ourselves, to ourselves, what can we do? Well, the other part of that is If we're not telling the truth to ourselves and we're not telling the truth to someone else, how can they know you? How can there be a connection anyway? You know, two of the gals that responded to that post that I asked yesterday, the question, Kelly said, it makes me trust that you've been there and you get it. You make your message relatable to others. I love that my coach gets that. Okay. Donita said, Kathy, I absolutely love your honesty and transparency. It's really hard for me to believe anyone understands me or even wants to, but your sharing has helped me understand how you can relate to my struggles and that you really do care enough to walk alongside me. I wish I could share great success stories with you, and I feel like I'm not sharing enough of those. I'm not sharing enough of the success stories. I'm sharing the hard stories. But I want you to know that the hope story, as I was reminded this past weekend from a conference called the Hope Story Conference, the hope story is born out of the hard stories. And the connection we have with other people is made when we're vulnerable. Ooh, there's that word. Vulnerable with each other. Honest, telling the real story. No, we're not going to tell everybody the whole story. Unless you're on Facebook and you push public and anybody can watch it, like I have. But I don't tell the whole story on Facebook. But I'm listening to the story as the Holy Spirit prompts me to remember, to recall, as He brings to mind those memories that place still significance in my heart, that led to heartbreak or led to the passion. And girlfriend, remember that our passions, if you look at the word, the meaning of the word, and I'm not going to go into all of it, but if you looked at the meaning of the word passion, you're looking at a word that comes from the word suffering. You know, you think of Passion Week around Easter. Passion Week was the week of suffering for Jesus. Our passion is born out of our suffering. Our connections with other people are shared when we share our story, the real of us. If there's a part of you that's saying, I can't share this part with anybody, I want to challenge you to rethink that. I had one client. She told me, yeah, I'm never going to tell this story to anybody. It's never going to happen. And then there came a time in her journey where her child was really suffering and really struggling with something. Her young adult child. And all of a sudden she realized she doesn't know that I know what that's like because I've never told her. And so she sat her down and she shared a part of her story that she had never shared with anyone. And the daughter all of a sudden went, "Oh, Mom, thank you. I thought I was just not good enough. I couldn't measure up to you." And it changed the relationship that they had. Mom got real. Daughter realized she wasn't alone and she could trust her mama. I'm not saying you tell your kids all your stories, and yet, why are you hiding them? Why are you hiding them? I wish this was a Zoom call where we were having a conversation back and forth, because I really do want to hear from you. What's it like? Okay, I'm going to keep telling my story, not so that I can just tell my story to the world, but because I'm an external processor and I need to hear what my story is telling me. But I'm going to keep telling my story to remind you that your story matters. It's telling you some incredible things. Are you listening? And are you capturing that so that you can see where the hard story pivoted to hope? And maybe you're not seeing that, and maybe that's the struggle. Okay, I do that with women. I help them listen for the hope part of their story. I help them notice where God is showing up. That's part of what I do. Give me a call. Private message me here. There's ways to trace hope in your story, and if you're afraid you don't have hope, let's talk. Because, girlfriend, I'm here to tell you, your Creator God is working to break into your world every day to show it to you. Are you watching? And if you can see Him today, maybe you can see Him in yesterday, and maybe you can see Him in tomorrow in a way that you haven't. But it starts by being real with yourself about your story. And I went a little different direction than I was planning to today, so I may have to continue this tomorrow. But here's the question for you. Are you listening for the hope part of your hard story? Are you listening? And one question at a time. That's a coaching rule. One question at a time. Are you listening to the hope part of your story? Do you see it? 2 questions. Gotta get out of that. I would love to hear from you. It's that important. And it's part of the reason I became a coach. Because your story matters. So does mine. Shall we share them together? Talk to you later.